What's going on, guys, and welcome to January's episode of Plus Club, the show where we play the games offered to us on PlayStation Plus throughout the month, and at the end of the month, we talk about them. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
A couple quick reminders we're moving into a new month, so download and play Concrete Genie, Control, and Destruction All-Stars if you have a PS5. All offered for free on PlayStation Plus. Make sure to download those, play those, come back at the end of February for Plus Club, this show, and we're going to discuss our opinions on those games. Let us know yours, of course, and our game of the month will be determined soon. Today, there's another episode, Game of the Month came out for Deep Rock Galactic, and in that episode, we will be announcing our randomly picked Game of the Month because we haven't figured it out as of recording right now. I have no idea what it is still, so if you're watching this, you're like, what's the Game of the Month? Go to that episode.
Why are you wearing the same clothes?
We'll find it out then. So, so as of right now, as of recording, Game of the Month is still Deep Rock Galactic. Make sure to play that and come back in the other episode out today, and we'll discuss our thoughts on that as well. We have Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time, and we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Patreon if you'd like to support the channel even further than liking, commenting, and sharing this video, and subscribing if you're brand new. And we are almost at 2,100 subscribers in the first month of this year. Very cool. If we can get like 5 more subscribers, we'll hit it. So hit your friends up. Tell them to subscribe. And hashtag AskTLG on your comment if you'd like to be considered on Tastecast. We'll read your comment if it's not crazy and respond to it. All right, so in January, we played Greedfall, Maneater, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This whole month, I kept remembering Greedfall. I know you're having issues.
I still want to say Grim every time.
Maneater, but like the other one, I was always like, what the fuck is the third game? What the fuck is the third game? And Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Oh, fuck. Real quick. Concrete Genie, Control, and Destruction All-Stars. What do you guys think about those games in February?
Well, we kind of talked about it outside the stream, but or not stream, episode.
Fuck, we better not be streaming. That'd be awkward.
But for you guys, these 3 games are actually all games I had interest in, and I bought Control on PC when I got my graphics card. So, looking forward to it, actually. First time I've gotten to say that in a while, so.
Yeah, I also own Control. I bought that when I got my 2080. I was like, I need an RTX game.
Exactly.
So yeah, exactly. So I've already had Control. I've already beaten Control. But I will definitely play it again, and I'm really excited for everyone to get access to that game. The game hasn't been out for that long. I think it came out in 2019, but which seems like yesterday almost. It's fucking weird. But I'm stoked for people to get to play that game. Destruction All-Stars is a game that I was originally supposed to get with my PS5, so I'm excited to finally get to try it. I'm also excited that more people than I think would have bought it willfully are going to get access to it now to play. Well, because some people might have got it with a bundle like me, but I don't think people would go out of their way to buy that fucking game. But I'm excited that a bunch of people are going to get access to the game, and so like this month will be probably the healthiest time of that game, unless it's really dope. We'll find out.
For sure.
And Concrete Genie is a game that I remember when I first saw it, I was interested in it, and then I've been interested in it, but I don't know if it's a game I would pull the trigger on. I actually thought it was going to be a PlayStation Plus game, so it's very convenient that it is. So this is going to be, first off, and we'll talk about the games themselves, but January is the games that they offered. It was really good, in my opinion, on like the sheer amount of like value you get in January, and February as well. So they're starting really fucking good this year on PlayStation Plus. Yeah. So yeah, really impressed so far. I'm really excited for February though. I legit want to play all 3 of those games. So,
same.
Chris.
I also have Control, but only because it was offered on Xbox Game Pass. So I've also been trying to look to play that. Concrete Genie, I like the concept of, and anything kind of artsy-fartsy games like that I really enjoy, so it'll be fun to get my hands on that. And then Destruction Derby, I don't have a PS5, so I don't think I'm going to have access to that. And I don't really have a strong desire to play it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think it's going to be one of those games that, unless it's really good, nobody knows. It's not out.
For sure.
So I'm really curious to try it out and maybe hopefully be surprised by it. But if it's not good, I will not be surprised by that at all. So I don't expect it to be bad. I feel like it's going to be like but I hope it's really good. But yeah, if it's not good, that will not be crazy at all to me. So, and of course, you can always come over here and try it as well. We have
It's
two
true.
PS5s, so yeah. So let us know in the comments. Are you guys excited for February's offerings as well, or are you not? Any game you have reservations on, or any game you're super excited to play? Let us know in the comments below. All right, Greedfall, Maneater, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. What game to start with? Holy fuck! These 3 game release months are getting rough on me. I'm like, dude, I already played too many fucking games. So let's talk about. Actually, I'm really excited to talk about it. Let's talk about Shadow of the Tomb Raider, because Chris kind of built up some hype for me on this conversation. If you didn't get a chance to play Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I think it's the third. It's the second or third one in the new reboot series. We play as Lara Croft doing Tomb Raider things. You go on an adventure and get thrown around a lot, get hurt a lot, and yell at your friend a lot. It's a third-person shooter / adventure game. You figure out puzzles. You shoot shit. You do a lot of Tomb Raider shit. You climb not upside down. It's what is that? Horizontally upside down. Somehow is like Spider-Man. It's very interesting. We all played it, and I'm dying to know Chris's impressions of Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, in January.
You're going to be sorely disappointed because I tried to download this game every day the entire month and kept getting the error, what is it, CE30045-2, which means operation not supported. So I would literally download the 9 gigs of the 30 gig game, I think what it is, and it would freeze and say download 99 plus hours and then not download the game. I spent the entire month trying to download this game to play it, and I could not.
You put more effort into trying to play this game than I did as a person who did play the game. So that's impressive.
Yeah, I was talking with him last night about it a bit too, and I was trying to emphasize to him that was a Sony problem because games go through a cert process. So
yeah. So you had there was one most of the time. You know, we when we review our impressions. I mean, it's pretty honest. We play for a couple hours where we played a lot, and then we talk about it. It's only been like 1 or 2 times ever where like me and you had to kind of disqualify a game because it was so broken, and that was
Heavy Rain.
Heavy Rain, yeah. It was so fucking destroyed, like you couldn't even play the fucker. That we had to give it an F. Like it's like one of the only Fs I've ever given. No, I've definitely given Fs.
Yeah, but that was definitely due to like the game itself.
Can't play it. Yeah. So we're grading it based off of what we thought of it. We can't think of anything. It failed. So So I'm not saying that's what you're gonna say, but we'll get there. But it's just interesting. It's reminiscent of that because you didn't get to play it.
Not at all. Not at all. And I wanted to because I played the other ones, and I just wanted to see how this one stacked up with the rest.
Yeah.
Couldn't.
Okay. Well, that makes it that easy. That sucks. You didn't get to play it. Hopefully, did you at least still get to claim it? You were downloading it, so
yeah, it sits in my library.
So you own it.
Like, download now.
As long as you pay them, so that's good.
Yeah.
Man, that's stupid. There's another game I had recently. What was it? I think it was last month. One of the games I had problems downloading as well, so I don't know what's going on.
I looked it up online, and people a while ago had problems like Beyond Two Souls downloading. That's the one that came up the most. But it's an error that kind of is sporadic, and I've tried, restarting the system, hard booting it, cleaning the hard drive, all those operations they recommend doing. Nothing, all month.
Did you have issues with any other games?
No,
No,
I downloaded
just that one?
Greedfall to the PlayStation 4 just fine.
Yeah, I know you're playing that. Oh yeah, Maneater's PS5 game. Yeah. So
you get to talk about one game.
cool. Yeah, it kind of sucks. I guess I'll just throw it to you then. What did you think of your impressions of Tomb Raider?
I was expecting more of the same going into this game, and I was not surprised. It was more of the same. So I think that we've played all 3 at this point, thanks to PlayStation Plus. I guess the easy way to give my impressions here is the game looks fine for the most part. Sometimes it's got some weird stuff. For the most part, it's a clean looking game. The animations are pretty decent, and the character models are definitely like very detailed, especially Laura's. The gameplay is as expected. I wasn't necessarily excited by it, but I wasn't like upset by it either. It functioned the way I wanted it to, or that I expected it to. No surprises there, and even like going through solving puzzles and like the combat and whatnot. I mean, it was all par for course. So I actually don't have like a lot I can add to this other than like I had an okay time, like just overall. I'm not compelled to necessarily want to go back and like keep playing the game, but I don't really have any major complaints either. I just This is gonna be one of those games that falls in this weird spot where like I could play it, but I could play something else, and I'm probably more likely to play something else. So I don't know. It's hard for me to even talk about it because I don't really have any strong opinions. So it looks fine. It plays fine. It did everything the other two did. So if you have any experience with those games, you're gonna be pretty much in for the same thing. So
yeah, the series of games, now that I've tried them all, feel like they're all part of the same series, which is good. But they all definitely feel the same as well. Like I know I just kind of repeated myself there, but like every time I play any of them, I feel like I'm playing the same game with a slightly different story.
yeah.
So, I mean, if you're really into the games, that's probably awesome. But they don't seem to change a whole lot. It seems to me, as somebody who has not admittedly played them a shitload, but has played them. Yeah, so I went into it kind of expecting it to be what I expected, and it was that and less in some ways. So we've talked about the other games before on the channel, and I feel like I have a hard time with these games. And we've kind of, as we've played these games, for me, dissected what really kind of makes this game less accessible for me, or these games. And I'll get into this game specifically, but they all have this problem, in my opinion. And this game's no different. These games feel like they're trying to be Uncharted, which is ironic because Uncharted came after Tomb Raider, and Tomb Raider's gone under very different reintroductions as a series, and so coming back, it feels like it's trying to kind of take some of that their piece of the pie back, and so it's hard not to make comparisons of the two, but they're trying to go for this big third-person shooter adventure with all the puzzles and stuff like that, but they don't nail a lot of things that I think other games in the genre, I'm not just going to say Uncharted, but other games in the genre, I guess, do. I don't think Lara Croft is a compelling character, and that's purely based off of the way they write her. Her whole shtick is, my dad wasn't crazy, I'm going to find out what he wanted me to know, and no one can stop me. And then all of her friends around her are just like, don't do it, Laura, don't do it. And she's like, I have to. And then she almost dies. And she almost dies. And then she's like, wow, I'm glad you were there to save me. I'm like, you're constantly putting people around you in danger. What's likable about that, right? Nothing. There's nothing about her. She's not funny, charming, witty, anything. She's just like obsessed with finding out the secrets, and this game literally starts like that. As soon as it starts very similar to the last one we played, where like she's like, I'm gonna go up the mountain. He's like, I'm going with you, and then the whole mountain seemed like it was trying to kill her, like it was a big monster. I felt like I was playing fucking Shadow of the Colossus.
Personal vendetta.
Yeah, it was wild. And then in this, it starts out fucking buck wild. They're in a fucking plane, rips in half. As soon as it starts, boom, just rips in half. I'm like, of course that happened. And then the front end she's in just goes, whoo, just goes fucking flying and hits some shit. And then you're playing as her, and she's all fucked up, but then she's like, oh, I can climb though, it's fine still. And then later, her friend's like trying to stop her from doing shit and getting pissed with her, and she's like, I have to do it or whatever. And it's like, you don't have to do shit. So anyway, her as a character, it's not even that her character is bad. It's just vacant. There's not much to it. So I don't care about her as a character. I don't care about the stakes that there are. I'm not worried about her preservation. I think it's a huge weakness of the series for me personally. I know a lot of people like this series, and I'm not trying to take that from you at all. This is just for me. This is how I think. We all have different opinions. Gameplay, I'm talking about the series, but I'm also talking about this game specifically, is functional, but it feels almost in between AAA and like that mid-tier upper indie area where like you can really appreciate the set pieces they're going for, but they're janky. So I can appreciate the imagination. If there's one thing this series does, specifically this game, is surprises me. Not necessarily in like, you know, what happens to her, but like in the very beginning of the game, the city's flooding and everything's floating around. I was like, the idea of this is neat. It's just executed kind of weird. For instance, I I was paying attention to something else, and I looked over, and she was like flying down, and she hit. She was in the water, and she hit this like rebar, and she got stuck on it. She's fucking, and then she slowly dies from it. I was like, oh shit, okay. I go to a different part of that set piece, and I fall in the water again, and the exact same rebar hit me. And I was like, oh, they're just reusing that? Okay. Just like then at that point, I was like, I'm going to test this. And I know I'm all over the place too with this, but like there's just a lot to go into with this game, because it's hard to kind of put out why I dislike it as much as I do while also appreciating it. But I wanted to test this, so I climbed up the side of a building, and I fell, and she fell in like a rebar and died. And I went to a different part of the building. I jumped off. She fell in the exact same rebar and died. And so obviously it's just kind of like a cutscene, and it just kind of shows the ambition of the set pieces, but the unwillingness to fully go for it, in the sense of like I don't know, not feeling lazy in some ways. The animations also can look really good, but also look like a Telltale game. There's a part where she was like swimming, and then all of a sudden she just like got locked into place, and her head goes ooh, and looks up at something coming at her. I was like, that could have looked better. Yeah, I don't know. This game has this weird area of like, it is technically AAA, but also feels kind of half-assed in some ways. I don't know why. So anyway, I played this game. It met the exact same like expectations that I had of any of the games in the series that do all this shit. I don't care about lore. I don't care about the story. The gameplay's okay. The exploration is interesting. Some of the puzzles were interesting from what I played. But I had to really force myself to play this game. Oh yeah, and then the other thing. This is where what I meant when I said it met my expectations, but also worse than what I expected. Is I started noticing some weird shit. So like, there's a part in the early part of the game where you're climbing a mountain, and you go on this part that is going vertical, and then it goes kind of hooks, where would be horizontal, her back would be facing the ground, and she's just like up there with her two hooks in the fucking ceiling, and her feet are just planted up there. Every once in a while, one foot will get loose, and she'll just put it back there, and it looks like she's fucking Spider-Man. It's a small thing. It's a very little nitpick, but I noticed that, and I was like, is she like, who designed this part? Went, yeah, that looks normal, right? Then later, I'm fucking in a firefight, and I look like, it's weird. You're getting shot, and your screen gets a little red, kind of, but you don't really get feedback when you're getting hit, which I thought was kind of weird. And I look over, and this guy's shooting at me, and every once in a while he's hitting me, and I'm like, is his aim really that bad? So I let him kill me. I respawn, and I sit still.
Something explode on your end? Come in.
I hope that's all of them.
The bolts were going through me. They were contacting me, but going through me, and I wasn't taking damage. It seems like a big deal in a game where you shoot at people, they shoot back. Mm-hmm. It's fucking crazy. So anyway, my whole point with some of that stuff, and I could go into other details too that were kind of janky. There's this game feels kind of messy to me, and it already is not the most likable game in my opinion. The credit I will give it to, or give to it, that, you know, some people might be going like, well, you're really going fucking hard on this game. The graphics I think are good. I think the world design is really nice looking. The mountains and all that shit. I think some of the ideas for the puzzles are interesting. They're not difficult, but I don't care. I'm not a big puzzle guy, but I appreciated the imagination of it. I don't think. Oh, the stealth's garbage. Horrible fucking stealth. Like exactly what I complain about when it comes to stealth. Stand in this zone, you're okay. Stand in that zone, you're not okay. Yeah, it's got some good stuff to it, and I can understand why people would like it, especially if you can overlook some of the stuff. But as a person who's been going through the series just unimpressed, it almost feels like the series absolutely just not for me. And so my obligation to play it for the channel is the only reason I'm playing it. And I think that's probably why I'm being so vocal about my distaste of it, is because outside of this channel, I probably wouldn't be playing these games. So, but they're not the worst thing ever. They're just not for me. So, all in all, my impressions of Shadow of the Tomb Raider in January were the only things I'll remember is those weird fucking occurrences of getting bullets shot through me and not taking damage. I hope their next game is fucking awesome and can change my mind. But yeah, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
I like how I couldn't play it. Chevy's like, it's whatever, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I just don't know. I don't know. So let's jump into recommendations.
Okay.
Unless you guys have something else to say on it.
No, this is the same team that did the Marvel Avengers game, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
I believe so. And that game did very well, so it's weird. Recommend it.
I mean, third-person action adventure games. If you're into games in the vein of things like Uncharted, Last of Us, even things like Ghost of Tsushima, stuff like that, where you just are, third-person action, some puzzle solving, exploration, yada yada. This is not necessarily as open world, at least not as far as I got into the game, because I only have so much time in a month. We have a lot of games to play, so yeah. If you like the previous ones, obviously you probably already played it. Narrative-driven games, I would say it might be worth taking a look at.
Cinematic games, movies. If you like movies like popcorn flicks and shit,
for sure. Yeah, drawing a blank otherwise.
Oh my god, there's a scene in the beginning of the game when you go through like the water and like the city's getting flooded and shit. You climb up the side of a building. I know we're getting recommendations. Maybe if you're into illogical, like if you like Tommy Wiseau movies, illogical movies, weird movies. You climb up the side. You climb up the side of the building. You go around. There's a kid hanging off like this fucking metal pole. He's going, help, help, help. I saw him, and she goes, oh, I'll come help you. She goes over there. She gets close. He goes, whew, and she's into the water, and I assume dies. I don't know. And she's like, no. And then you climb up 2 feet from where he was just at. And you come up over the building, and it's like this flat plane that it might be the top of a building, but it looks like a whole different area. And you see your friend who had been standing there with a bunch of people.
Jonah!
There's just a bunch of people in helicopters and they're evacuating people and shit. And she comes, I know. And then she comes running up and she's like, she says his name, they hug and shit. And she's like, we gotta go do this thing. And he's like, I gotta save these people. Laura, I gotta save these people. I'm like, what about that kid screaming help fucking 2 feet away from you?
Okay, but first, we're gonna help these people get to safety, and then we'll go after the bug. No! These people need us here.
That was like, I watched it, I was like, what the fuck happened there? Sorry, I forgot. I had to bring that up.
It's fine.
It just shows again that the people making the game were like, this is fine. Not really. It's weird. It was a weird scene. I was like, why? Anyway, yeah. If that sounds funny, you should play the game. Any other recommendations?
That's all I can think of right now.
Pretty much agrees. Did you say Uncharted? Mm-hmm. Okay. Third-person shooters. Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I don't think I can really add anything else.
Yeah.
Anything, Chris?
If you're able to download this game,
you should check it out. All right. Let's jump into grades. Should probably let Chris grade this. Just get it out of the way.
I mean, it has to be an F. I can't grade it honestly. I feel bad for giving it an F because I've never given an F on the channel before, but I literally wasn't able to even get to like the menu of the game, download it even. So it has to be an F. So it's failed.
What if you enjoyed some element of that, waking up every day and going, I wonder if I can download it today?
Right now, I enjoyed no elements of having to problem solve trying to download that game. None.
Well, I guess F makes sense then. Yeah, that's when we gave I can't remember Heavy Rain an F. I didn't want to do that. I wouldn't grade Heavy Rain,
especially because we both played it before.
Yeah,
and it was fine.
But I was like, what do I grade it? Like, I can't. It looks like I'm playing a fucking stop motion animation game. Like, it's weird looking. So
yeah.
Okay, I'll grade it next. Fuck, what do I want to go with on this? I'm gonna give it a C. I feel like I should give it a C minus. For me personally, I'm giving it a C just because I feel like the game, outside of its, good visuals and I guess ambition trying to make big set pieces and stuff, it's overall uninteresting for me, and I think it is lazy in some ways. I think it's a completely playable game, and I think for certain people it's probably way higher than a C, but it didn't give me anything new or and not for the genre, but for Tomb Raider, because I already kind of am coming into this game going like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. It didn't do anything to really change my mind. It doesn't need to. The game's not for me. It's for other people who enjoy it. I get that. But I just really did not enjoy playing this game. And I feel like this is, go back maybe if you're interested to find out, but I feel like this is probably the lowest grade I've given one of the newer Tomb Raider games. I think it's because, it's like the other ones, but also there's a lot of weird inconsistent issues that I ran into playing it. Particularly that AI thing. Like, we're living in a time where people are talking shit about Cyberpunk having issues. I'm like, if this was in Cyberpunk, people would be fucking roasting it for it. And I never heard about that in Tomb Raider. So, and then I experienced it, and I'm like, this is fucking not good. Like, AI should not be doing this. But outside of that, I can look past it. I think C is a fair passing grade for it, but I'm not really impressed, or I'm not coming back to this game. So,
yeah. Mine's gonna be similar. I'm gonna go C plus. It's all right.
Going high.
It's a game. It plays. It has some redeeming stuff to it. I just don't have a huge interest in it. So, yeah, C plus.
Yeah. All right. Let us know in the comments, what did you think of Shadow of the Tomb Raider? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Or somewhere in the middle? What would you grade it? What is your favorite of the rebooted Tomb Raider games? Is this it? Did I fucking really upset you with my opinion on it? And let's know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. The other game we played in January was Maneater, which is a third-person shark game where you swim around in water doing objectives. There is a story in the game, but really the gameplay comes down to swimming around fighting other aquatic animals, eating humans, fighting off people who tried to hunt you, and eating enough of certain types of things to gain points to be able to get perks and stuff for your shark and evolve to different forms of sharks. Fun fact, it's made, I believe, by Tripwire, who's the same people who made Killing Floor 1 and 2. I'm a huge fan of Killing Floor 1 and 2, so that's interesting. Also, makes sense when I played it, and I'm jumping onto a boat and mauling a dude, and the blood's flying everywhere. I'm like, okay, this makes sense. We all played it. Who went first last time, Chris?
I think he had to out of necessity.
Yeah. Let's give it to Chris again. We're just gonna give it to you one more time, just so you can actually talk about something.
It's yours. Have it for you.
It's a PS5 game. I can't play it.
Oh no, I forgot. Holy fuck.
I haven't played it at all. So my grade is nothing.
Oh no. Okay, fuck. This episode's all fucked up. Okay, so I played it, and I kind of had this feeling it was gonna be like Goat Simulator, which sounds kind of. I guess it kind of makes sense. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like kind of a shitty action game. I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I was gonna. It's still very much exactly what you think it's going to be before you play it. You're like, you're a shark, you're going to cause chaos, you're going to kill shit, you're going to get bigger, better, and fight bigger, stronger things. And that's pretty much what happens in it. But tonally, even like when the game starts, it starts explaining the shark you are and stuff like that, and I was like, this is weird. This is like not what I was expecting. And then I also didn't expect the controls to be intuitive, but also interesting. I think I expected a lot less from this game, and that's why I'm like, whoa, this game's actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. You can like dodge, you can like stun your enemies. You have like a sonar ability where you can see things you're looking for. You can upgrade all these things. You can change your body into other bodies like the tiger shark right in the beginning, which have different properties to them. The gameplay's way better than I don't like being underwater in games, and this game it just kind of makes sense. It just works. But you are a shark, so you have complete control. It's not like you're being hindered by being underwater, like in a lot of games when you're underwater. It's a game that's really easy. Like once you start playing it, to just keep playing it. It's not a game that I would like go, I need to go play fucking Maneater. But anytime I play it, I'm like, yeah, this is fun. Like I like just like doing the missions, jumping around, trying to get creative in the ways that I'm like. There's a dock full of humans. Like, you got to kill them. It's like, but you can't be out of water for too long. So how do you get them? And it's like, I'm flopping around on the fucking dock, like killing all these people and shit. I grab some of them, just throw them into the ocean and shit, and go after them. It was a lot more fun than I thought it would be. I think it's interesting. There's different maps. You're in a fucking swamp at one point. Then you're in kind of like this, I guess, sunken town city area. There's enemies, you can lock onto them, which I thought was interesting.
Tons of Easter eggs.
A lot of Easter eggs, a lot of things to find, a lot of exploration. It's a deeper game than I ever would have thought it was going to be. Like, I literally thought it was just going to be fucking Goat Simulator. Shark Simulator, go kill things. And that's is what it is, but there's just a lot more game going on there. It's arcadey feeling. It's the action is kind of janky, but not too bad. Not enough that I would complain about the AI's missing me. The AI will definitely hit you in that game. Yeah. That shit starts locking on. They start shooting and fucking hitting. Overall, I ended up liking it. I'll probably play it again. I don't know if it's a game like I said, it's not a game I'll rush to play, but I do want to play it more because I want to unlock more stuff, just out of curiosity. But again, when I think about it, Tripwire made this, so I'm not that surprised they made something that's visceral and feels good to play, because Killing Floor, specifically 2, is one of the most satisfying games where you can shoot shit, in my opinion, because of how the guns feel and the visceral reaction you get from when you hit the enemies and stuff like that. And this game's not up that level, but it definitely they didn't just like throw this out there. There's cutscenes, there's a whole story going on, there's a lot of dorky fucking characters, it was a big surprise for me. So yeah, I liked it. It was fun. Needs multiplayer. Everything needs multiplayer.
Yeah. I think the first thing I noticed when I started playing it, and you brought it up, which I speaks a lot for it, I think, as well, is the controls are actually way better than I expected them to be. Because, like you said, underwater stuff is usually kind of weird, and the controls make complete sense. I never felt like the water was a hindrance when I was playing. So huge props for that.
It's interesting too, because the controls, they don't change necessarily, but when you've surfaced, I forget what they call it, when your fin's out.
Yeah, I don't remember.
The controls are almost like you're on a flat plane.
You
like
lock.
You
lock.
Which is, I think, smart, because when you're up there, it's more for navigation and trying to see stuff you're going to go after. Yeah. But then once you like submerge,
you have to hit a dive button.
It feels more of like, not like a jet, because it's not like a forward, well, like kind of. If you took the ocean out, you're pretty much flying around.
Yeah.
But you can like turn around really quickly and shit. But it's interesting how they kind of separated the surface and above water and the underwater to feel like different ways of playing almost.
Yeah, and they work in tandem pretty well.
Yeah.
The other thing I was surprised with is combat is actually multi-button and a lot more interactive than I expected it to be, because I honestly just kind of expect to go up and just bite people. And you do that, but you initially, you bite someone and it's more like a grab, and then to chomp, you mash the button, or you let go and smack them with your tail, and they go flying, which is super satisfying, to be honest.
When you can grab them and then use the right stick to maul them too.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of like play there, and
Yeah.
and I think the big thing I kind of want to like convey, I think, is that this is like, when you think about video games, this is a video game.
Yeah.
In every like way, it is meant to just be a fun experience. It doesn't take itself too seriously, plays well, has all the things you'd expect objective wise. There's collectibles, there's stuff to fight, there's leveling, there's upgrades.
Yeah, it feels like a
Appearance
video game.
differences,
Like,
like,
it feels
yeah.
like so many of the eras of like gaming where it's just about like, it's not a platformer, but this game could easily,
It fits in that era.
it
for
could have
sure.
existed on N64, it could have existed on PlayStation, it could have been out on PS2.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like a timeless game.
Yeah, and then Discovery, because of Easter eggs and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which give you experience, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't know. I was expecting it to be kind of like Tomb Raider for me, where I was just like, I know what to expect, and apparently I didn't. It was actually more enjoyable to play than I was expecting. I probably, not to give too much into my opinion of the next game, but it's probably the most fun I had this month was with this game.
Uh-oh.
So, pleasant surprise. I don't know if I'll necessarily revisit it, but I'm not thinking about uninstalling it either, so it's kind of a weird spot for me.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, it's fun enough. Kind of, this is going to be a weird example, but kind of like Bug Snacks. It just kind of fits in this weird spot where,
Yeah.
like, I want to keep it installed in case I'm in the mindset to play something like that. So,
Yeah, like the other day I was just on my PS5. I was like, what am I going to play? I just started playing that for a little bit because I needed to anyway. But like, I was like, I enjoy playing it. So it's definitely, and it's a game too that like you would want to like maybe recommend to your friend to check it out, or if they're over and you're like, oh, try this out real quick. Like it's a unique enough experience that's worth playing and checking out. So
well, and it's like not super complicated either. So like you
Yeah.
can just sit there and like do it, and if you get like kind of like sidetracked by something, you're not really missing out too much. Like you're just biting things and leveling up essentially. There's a story, but like it's not like you're not super invested as much as it's just a catalyst to get you to go through and go to new maps and stuff. So
yeah, for sure. Anything else?
No.
Recommendations. Let's see. I would recommend this to, I guess, if you're a big fan of sharks and you don't think there's enough shark games out there, I think this is right up your alley. You're probably already playing it. If you like third-person action games, specifically like older platformy type ones, this isn't a platformer, but it definitely gives me that like arcadey run around. Like, it gives me the same kind of vibe as like when you play. I'm not saying it's like Ratchet and Clank, but it gives me the same vibe of running around killing enemies and breaking boxes. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Not the gameplay of Ratchet and Clank, but the fundamentals of
gamey. It's gamey.
exploration,
Yeah.
finding secrets, just killing enemies, trying not to die by enemies, having bosses show up. So it has that. It's hard to say just gamey though as a recommendation because like, I mean, honestly, I would recommend this to most people. I think everybody should check it out and try it. But I'm trying to be a little more specific because I think there are people who are not going to be into it.
Oh, for sure. Well, and if you have like a niche you play like a game type, it might not be the right choice for you at that point. But.
Yeah. But yeah, if you want a game that you can just kind of like hop into, it's kind of simple and you can just play it, just for fun. You're not worried about like, investing 40, 60, 100 hours into it. It's not a deep RPG, although there is leveling and grinding you could do to get the resource you need to upgrade your shark.
Yeah, we
Feel
didn't
like,
bring that up.
yeah, we're too busy talking about that we're surprised it's not horrible, which is the real fucking star of that conversation. If you like games full of like chaos, carnage, blood, but in like a zany, crazy way, it's definitely a game that you should be playing. If you liked Killing Floor for that reason specifically, it's the same guys, so check it out. But if you like games like Mortal Kombat where you're like, oh shit, what's the fatality going to be? And then you see it and you're like, wow, that's crazy. It's got a vibe of that where you can like just jump on a boat and start just ripping people up and you're just like, this is ridiculous. Exploration games, games with like Easter eggs and stuff like that, all these little collectibles to find. It's definitely a game I would recommend to people. Shit. there's another thing. You got any recommendations?
I mean, mine's just gonna be kind of like a blanket statement. If as long as you're old enough for the, or mature enough, I'll say, for the blood content of the game and the excessive violence, because like right in the beginning, there's a very personal scene between a man and a shark.
That sounds weird.
I'll leave that to your imagination.
A very personal moment.
I
Beautiful,
think
even.
everyone should at least try it. It's like it's simple enough to get into, but there's enough there to like enjoy. So
I had a recommendation, and it's just completely fucking gone. That
is
sucks.
it because someone got personal with a shark?
Yes. Yeah. If you like stories of people getting personal sharks, this game's for you. And yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, loosely, I would recommend it to most people. So if you're curious about it, you're looking at it, and you're going like, I don't even know if that game's gonna be good or not. I'm telling you right now, I'm you, and it is better than I thought it was gonna be. It's not the most amazing thing ever, but it is better. So if it even looks interesting, it's probably gonna be better than what you expect. I would assume, because we both said the same thing. So check it out. Let's jump into grades. I'll grade. Did I grade first last time?
You did.
You grade first.
I'm gonna give it a B minus. It is fun enough. I think it could obviously use improvements. I do think the game 100% suits itself for some form of multiplayer, whether that is a cooperative or versus, even in this case, because there's plenty of fights, in the game where you're fighting things that are bigger than you.
Oh, I got stressed out a couple times early on in the game with like fucking multiple alligators attacking me at once. I'm like,
yeah, the game teaches you real quick that things can eat you too.
yeah. I never mentioned too. I had a bug in the beginning of the game where where it spawned me in the wrong area after the tutorial.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I thought I told you about it. You're supposed to spawn in the swamp, and it spawned me in the ocean. And it's like, you need to equip your sonar.
You did tell me that.
And I went back to my base, my home base, to equip it, and wouldn't let me do it.
Right.
And then I'd go out, and there's like level 18 guys killing me constantly. I'm like, why are there level 18 guys right outside of my house just murdering me? And then I restarted the game. I deleted that save, restarted it, and then went through the beginning. All of a sudden, I was in the swamp, and I was like, wait, that's why. Because fucking it just did not put me in the correct place.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that you couldn't access like the leveling thing, and because you asked me like about it, and I was like, it just.
Yeah, you were like walking by, and I was
there,
like, why
yeah.
can't I fucking equip this? And you're like, well, you just go in there. And I'm like, it's not there. And you're like, oh, yeah, weird.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just fucking remember that.
No,
I also remember real quick my other recommendation. If you do like Goat Simulator, this game's better than Goat Simulator by fucking miles. But if you dig Goat Simulator, you'll probably dig this game.
Yeah, you're gonna get kind of similar vibes.
Yeah.
So
Less Tony Hawkish, but yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm giving it a B minus purely out of the fact that it was better than I expected, and the controls just work for the game. Like I literally I can't think of any like complaints. I don't really have
even the bug I experienced. Fucking it's fixed. Game's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not like sitting here necessarily trying to like hype it up either. It's not like this amazing experience, but it's fun.
But it is amazing that it's not horrible.
Yeah.
Because I just assumed it was going to be like, yeah, I get it. You kill things as a shark. That's funny.
For sure.
But I play, I'm like, no, this is like a legit game. That's cool. It's not. It doesn't feel like it's just. It doesn't feel like a little baby project they're doing on the side and go like, hey, just release that and see if we can get some fucking money from people by making a weird game. Like it's a legit game, and the fucking genre of shark games is very small, so they don't have any competition. So that's definitely good
or
for them.
Underwater Life. I remember playing the crap out of Echo the Dolphin. So
that's what it kind of reminds me of too. It reminds me of like a 3D Echo the Dolphin, which they made.
And not peaceful.
But you're the shark and you kill things. But yeah.
Instead of talking to other dolphins and helping them escape.
Yeah. Anything else?
No.
All right, I'm gonna. You know what, Chris? You talked me into it. I'm gonna give it a B minus. I was gonna give it a C plus. I was thinking about that, but I do think it deserves credit for not. It's not just a joke game. It's like a legit game, and that's awesome. That was a real big surprise. I went into Tomb Raider going like, here we go, and I played. I'm like, okay, here we go. Of course, and then I ran into the bullshit. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. Not for me to see. But then I'm going into this game, and I'm like, okay, Goat Simulator 2.0 or whatever. And I start playing. I'm like, no, this is fun. This is a cool game. So it definitely deserves credit for exceeding that expectation, in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a B minus as well. It was fun. It's a good looking game. It's
It
not
is.
amazing, but it's clean looking. The exploration is fun. Figuring stuff out is fun. There was one mission I did. I think you're seeing in the footage here. Of it's early on in the game, but like you had to go kill a bunch of groupies down in this like our groupers down in this like underwater pipe area or whatever, and like just like navigating through there while having to fight like alligators, and like at one point I had to like escape by hopping out of this thing out of the water to get out of there. It's not just your. It's like in a game where there's a desert, you're just looking at sand, and some people can make it interesting. They've made being underwater interesting. And I think that also deserves credit. So B minus. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to say on that game?
You said groupies at first, and I just imagined a bunch of like 70s people just, dancing on the beach.
There's a bunch of
Group
hippies,
was
and they're like, "We love shark, we love shark," and you're like, "Yeah, I fucking love you guys too."
There are a bunch of people dancing on the beach, so
It's true, yeah. They could be groupies.
time for the snacking.
There's also in the story, it's like a Deadliest Catch style like TV show of characters, and they're all like these hillbilly type like people who hunt sharks.
And the leader
So-
gets real close to a shark.
This is true. They get real close.
Personal-
Very
personal
personal.
moment with the shark.
Yeah, it's very personal, very close. It's beautiful. Yeah, maybe those are their groupies, so that's fun.
It might involve a little bit of penetration.
Show's going too far with this. Let's know in the comments what you guys think of Maneater. Did you play it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did it surprise you? Did it exceed your expectations, or was it exactly what you thought it was going to be? Was it worse than you thought it was going to be? Let me know about that opinion. And yeah, let me know everything you think about when it comes to Maneater. All right, last game we played this month is Greedfall, and I'm gonna have Chris start this one because he did play it. I'm just dying to hear him talk about a game.
Watch him go. Doesn't work. You can't. No.
Wait, I played it. Didn't work. You guys have fun. I'm just watching. I'm just here to be the audience. If you did get a chance to play Greedfall, it is a game where you are, one of a bunch of people, mercenaries, merchants, stuff like that, going to this island where there are people who are essentially defending themselves from settlers on an island that is full of magic. It is an RPG, third-person action RPG. You run around, you fight stuff and kill it and get loot and level up.
Yeah, think things like Fallout or Elder Scrolls.
Yeah,
or Dragon,
it's kind of a
Dragon
weird
Age.
one to compare to because it's in some ways feels like it's trying to be slower paced, not turn based at all. It's an action RPG, but you can pause the game too. Though it's an interesting game the way it's set up. But yeah, you explore this island. You go on journeys from different points and do missions and side quests and stuff like that. We all played it. Chris, you gotta talk about it. You gotta talk about something.
Something,
Talk about
please.
something. All right. So I did play a good chunk of this game. I streamed like I think 12 hours total of this game, a little more.
Nice.
It does have a very strong feel of like in the combat and the leveling up system of kind of like Skyrim, where there's like trees that you can put points into that give you better upgrades for certain things. The standard triad of magic, dexterity, or strength builds. So you have like rangers for the dexterity. You have wizards and healers for the magic class, and two-handed or one-handed weapons for the strength class. But they all can be like you can put points into anything, so you can kind of customize your character as you see fit. I stuck with a wizard this time around, a wizard with a mace, so it was a little more like, I'm out of mana, so I'm going to bash people's skulls in. It was kind of fun. But combat doesn't feel super rewarding in the sense of like, yeah, I'm hitting the enemies, but it doesn't feel impactful. Like, I'd imagine I'm beating someone in the head with a gigantic metal hammer. I'd imagine a little more staggering, a little more like screen shake, because that's generally in games what makes you feel like you have more impact is the screen shaking. And there was none of that in this. Your just character kind of was flailing about with a hammer, and people be like, oh, I'll fall over. And I played up into once you start actually exploring the main island of the game, and even then, combat felt very far and few in between. It really felt like I was just walking around talking to everybody, to go back and forth and then talk to this person and go back and talk to that person, then talk to this person, and then maybe fight a person. Which is kind of disappointing. I mean, that could be on my end because I tend to be one of those people who do side quests, and there's a lot of side quests to do in this game early on. But it just felt like there was no combat unless I was playing in the arena. And even then, I could only get so far in it because I wasn't leveled up enough to do anything because, again, there's no combat to really get a lot of experience from. You do experience from doing the side quests, but it was just kind of very limited feeling. That being said, the aesthetics of the game are kind of like this Victorian era England type thing. It kind of felt like the scenery from Vampire, just brighter. And I really like how you equip clothes and the clothes will change how you look.
Yeah, I appreciate
different clothes
that.
have different factions attached to them, which you can sneak into different areas if you're disguised as them. And then the upgrade system for the clothes has a really nice feature that when you add certain upgrades to them, they change the physical appearance of your gear. Which is really nice to see that reflection change. And the weapons are no different. You add different upgrades to them, and the weapons physically change in their appearance, which I really appreciate. I also really liked that there was areas I couldn't access because I didn't have spent the right points into certain talents or abilities. So, like, if I didn't have enough balance, I couldn't access the more acrobatic areas. Or if I didn't have the science skill, I couldn't blow up certain little walls to get into the areas easier. It was actually an enjoyable experience. I mean, I kept playing it every day for, like I said, 4-hour sessions. But it was more of like in the hopes of like, okay, the chat's happening. I just want to get to combat. I want to experience more combat. One of the other things I didn't like was the loading screens between traveling to different areas. Is you go out to the world, hit the travel button, game unloads, and then reloads into like this kind of like in between camp zone.
Yeah, it's like a little
while the rest of the game
place where you can sell shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't really care for that. I mean, it's cool that you can like have like that kind of thing every now and then if your character choose you want to go to that spot, so you can kind of talk to your NPCs and talk to, you know, your party members and get quests from them. But the fact that I had to do it every single time I wanted to go to a new area got really grating after a while.
Yeah, I can get that. I also, though, when I think about, I believe, I know it's Focus Entertainment that published this, but I believe the dev is Spiders.
Yeah, they did
which is
Technomancer.
which is such a weird name for a developer. Because I remember when this game was coming out, they're like, that Greedfall made by spiders. I was like, what does that mean? What do you mean it's made by spiders? And like
I remember
was like,
you saying that.
I was,
Actually.
I was like, what the fuck does that mean? And I was like, oh, okay, they're called spiders. Okay, that makes complete sense. I was like, why are you saying that? But this is not a AAA company. This is like like when CD Projekt Red was a smaller
Middle
company.
spot, yeah.
Yeah, when they made like The Witcher and maybe before they made The Witcher 2. And in my opinion, when it comes to what this developer's made so far, this is like almost their Witcher 2. Like this is the most ambitious game they've made, in my opinion, of what I've seen. So with those limitations of being a smaller developer, I think this game is actually a lot more ambitious than it really deserves to be. And I think they do a lot of weird and interesting things to try and reach their ambition with their limitations. And I think like exploring the island in a not big open world way, but having it segmented in the sense of like being in town and then loading and having a place to take care of all your stuff, almost like a hub, and then going to like a mission, kind of like a hub-based MMO type game, is I can see, because I didn't play as much as you did, that getting repetitive and annoying, but I also kind of admire it because they found a way to give you that feeling in an interesting way of traveling without having to make that in like a realistic sense. That might be hard for them to do.
It reminds me, I'm going to bring up Dragon Age again. Dragon Age, there's parts where you camp out with your team and you have an opportunity to build relationships with them. So it's very, very BioWare-esque style thing to do there. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it should speak something about the game itself that I'm trying to compare it to the AAA companies, like, you know, like games like Skyrim and things like that. It feels like it's just barely below what those games are, and this is made by, like you said, it's some sort of odd company. I've never heard of Spiders before.
It's made by spiders, real ones.
By spiders, yo. But I think that should speak to the, you know, just the overall fast and great experience I've had with this game is that I'm trying to compare it to AAA games, just falling slightly short. The only thing I had a problem with, and it could be personal, but the mouths of the game do not line up very well with how they are talking. Like, it looks very much kind of like marionettes, and like the lip motions are very odd. Sometimes I see the lips like touch the nose as they're closing their mouth trying to say words, and very off-putting.
This, and when I go into my impressions of it, I'll go on this a little bit more, but this whole game is their biggest endeavor as a developer, and you can really tell they're trying to really go for it, and I really admire that. I think they did a really good job, but you also see nonstop in every part of the game not hitting 100% on everything. So like the voice acting, I think, is actually way better than I thought it was going to be. It's way better than I thought it was going to be. But then you see the faces, and there's like stiff and plastic looking and like barely moving. And so I go like, well, they didn't nail that. But the voice acting's good. And I think that's more important than the facial stuff. The facial stuff would have been the facial. Oh yeah, if the facial, if the face was good, but the voice was like horrible, that'd be way more noticeable. But when it's the face being kind of like what Chris is saying, I can just go look at it and go, that could be better. But you know, you can still appreciate the game looking past that. And I feel like that's pretty much a common theme for, at least my opinion, for this whole game. They went for it, but some things they just didn't nail.
Yeah,
and that's definitely one of them.
Absolutely.
That's the one thing though that like not to try and insert something, but fucking if I have one major complaint about this game, I haven't even talked about the game really, but the movement met with the camera controls on a controller feel fucking horrendous. I can look past it, but it's my biggest complaint.
You tap like a left, and your character sprints a little bit, and the camera kind of floats slowly behind you.
Well, like in some games, when you move your character, they'll move like right on the point where they're standing, so it's like really good control, but it looks kind of like it looks like a video game. And then other games try to go like more immersive, and your character actually has to step and turn and stuff like that. I think of like Rockstar or something like that. This game has this weird thing where like when you take a left or right, your guy almost is like is walking around the point of where you're turning.
You turn like a fucking horse, man.
He like turns really wide. And so he feels kind of floaty. It's not the worst thing ever, but on top of it, both of these individually are not that big a deal. But together, they're fucking horrible. It's the biggest thing that drove me nuts playing this game. It's like the only thing that drove me nuts. That met with, you look left or right with the stick, and it goes from barely any fucking turn to a lot of turn. The acceleration's like that. And so you're running around like a boat, and your camera's doing this, and like you'll see in the footage. I was also trying to remember how to fucking play the game. But I'm like running around, and like I go around almost every time I go around a corner, I'm like readjusting my camera because I like overshot it and shit. And it's just like that could be a little tighter, but yeah, that was like my biggest thing. The face thing, definitely a good point though.
They drove me nuts because it looked like they were talking like this half the time when you were just having a normal.
Jesus Christ!
I want to see a game that does that. Where people's fucking faces are folding in on itself. It's like some Adult Swim shit.
Yeah, there's a few other things I could keep going on about little things here and there because I actually played so much of it, but I don't want to take up all the time. I did like the combat. You could pause the combat, pause it, and queue up your next action. Your character still to take time to do that action. So it's just kind of like if you're getting flustered, you could stop and be like, I'm looking for this ability. Because there's a lot of abilities you can get in the game. So I thought that was a really nice feature.
Definitely. Well, there's some stuff about this game that reminds me of like a less polished Witcher as well, like Witcher 3. But this game definitely takes after a lot of games, and that's fine because a lot of games in the genre do.
Yeah, for sure.
So my impressions, I did not play this for 12 hours. I probably put about 3 or 4 hours into it, so I did not play it as much as I would have liked to, and I am keeping it installed because I'm going to play this game more because I'm definitely interested in playing more. But in the time that I did play it, things I like the setting. I like the visuals. It's for an RPG. It's not really what I expect. So it's an interesting setting. The story I think is really intriguing as well. It starts out in a really cool way that makes me want to know more, makes me want to go to this island, makes me want to go on this journey. So that's good because a lot of times a game starts and the story starts and I'm like, yeah, that's stupid. That's generic, whatever. I'll just play the game for fun. Is Chris frozen? Okay.
Nope. He's just good at sitting still.
He's very good at sitting still. I didn't even see him blink. I was like, what happened? So yeah, the story's interesting enough. It's intriguing enough. They do a really good job on like setting up mystery with it, making you want to know more. Like I said before, I think the voice acting is actually really good. It's not the best ever, but I didn't hear anyone talk in the game and go like, ugh. So that's good. The ideas in the game, I think, are all solid. The execution varies, but the game is full of like loot, things to upgrade, combat that is basic, but also has some stuff to be interesting. I don't know. So, for instance, when I say like it's got good ideas, but some of it falls kind of flat. So, like Chris was saying, in the combat, it starts feeling kind of repetitive in some ways, but also like it's kind of janky too. This game has a lot of like soft jank everywhere. For instance, in combat, when I'm fighting and I go to execute an attack, there's multiple times this happened. With the enemy doing it to me and me doing it to the enemy, the game decided it needed to realign my character to their character to execute the attack. So my guy's doing the animation and they're getting ready to like block him, just pull my character over there and swing into him and shit. And it just, I don't care because I'm just trying to defeat him. So if I kill him, I kill him. But visually it takes me out of the fight because I'm like, that was ridiculous looking. And it happened a lot. There's also staircases that just had like invisible walls and shit. You can't walk up. And I'm like, why, just block it off with objects then. Like this, like it's not a big deal, but it's just like it kind of gives you this idea of like some of the areas they just like did not maybe have the time, budget, whatever, team size to think about. But yeah, so there's like a lot of soft jank in the game, but the combat it's not bad. I enjoyed it. I can see how it could get maybe tedious after a while. But you can get kind of creative with it as well. You can shoot at enemies. You can do a real big kick that all the NPCs love to do as well. There's a lot of fights I've been in where everyone's just fucking stomping at each other. And everybody's got like swords and guns and shit. And everybody's just fucking kicking. And I'm just like, God damn. And then I run in and of course start kicking as well. Because I'm like, I like a good kick party.
Status effects.
Yeah. The world's really cool looking. Specifically, like right in the beginning of the game when you start, it's just the beginning before you go to the island. But like I was looking at the town as soon as I walked out, I looked at it. I'm like, this is really cool because I know this team's not huge, and like they really went like we're gonna make a big crazy fucking city, and it looks cool. Even going down to the boat and seeing the size of the boats, like it feels immersive. Even if the NPCs just do kind of like aimlessly walk around, they went for it. They're trying to make this big, robust feeling, busy city. And even when you go to the island, there's people all over the place. I think the forests and stuff like that are interesting and worth like running around and kind of exploring. The cinematics go from okay to pretty decent. Sometimes I'm watching them like this is pretty cool. Other times it's like whatever. Combat. I'm going back to combat. I enjoy it, but at the same time, it feels kind of. Chris put it perfectly in saying like it doesn't feel impactful. I guess like it does feel kind of hollow. You kind of just swing at the enemies and they're swinging at you, and people are taking the damage, but it doesn't really feel like you're impacting. You're not hitting like when you shoot somebody from a distance. I mean, the first time I got like into a fight in the tutorial. This guy across the way like pulled up a rifle and went, and then I just died instantly. I was like, Jesus Christ. And like, there's no impact or anything. Like I just fell over, died. I was like, okay. And yeah, so like, I like what they're going for with the combat, and I like the systems. I like being able to pause in combat. I like having the utility of being able to shoot from a distance, being able to kick people, being able to parry and dodge, and being able to like put down traps mid-fight. There's one fight. It was fucked up. Without talking about the characters, it's not that far into the game, but it's story oriented. This character asked me a question and I answered wrong, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna fuck you up then." And then her friend with her was like, I'm gonna fuck you up too. And I'm like, okay. So I was like, okay, it's me and my party, we'll fight you guys. And they're just like standing there just looking at me, and I'm like, wait, why do I have to fight them? And like they both start attacking me, and the NPCs are just hanging out doing nothing. I'm like, okay. So with the utility of all the systems in place that you can use in combat, I was like, these guys are gonna fucking murder me. So I started just putting traps down on the ground everywhere and just lowering them into them and just fucking blew them up. Eventually, I won. But being able to do stuff like that, think on the fly in the moment, kind of get strategic about things is cool. I just wish that when I swung a sword, it felt good. When I got hit, it felt like I was getting hit, not just looking at my health bar going like, oh shit. I got hit in the game a couple times and like it didn't even really register. I had to like look up and go, oh fuck, I'm almost dead.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't much going on in that regard. The enemy design is cool. Some of the monsters are interesting looking. Overall, like I said, I think it is a really solid game. I'm actually stoked because I've seen the games the Spiders have done before this, and they're all kind of building up to better games, which is exciting for me because CD Projekt Red, I'm not comparing them directly, but it reminds me of CD Projekt Red early in their career when they were a company to like look out for. When they were building up from The Witcher to The Witcher 2, it was like, oh shit, these guys are going somewhere. And then they made Witcher 3 and everybody's like, holy fuck, this is the game that they've been building towards. I feel like their next game, if they're successful enough, given their trajectory, may be something really worth checking out because this game feels very close to that. It just has some of that underdeveloped jank that a smaller team is going to have. But other than that, I really respect what they did with this game. I like playing it. I want to play it more. And for the little amount of time I did play it, I really liked it. Chevy.
I'm just going to do this in pros and cons, I guess. So pros has very good RPG systems. Like it definitely has multiple different types of skill trees, multiple types of equipment. They do change your appearance, which is a huge plus. They don't have to ever do that. So it is always appreciated when you put on an individual piece of armor, your gloves change, your pants change, your boots change, whatever. Everything changes constantly.
That's not something I really touched on because Chris brought it up as well. But like I agree, I like as soon as I started looking at hats and stuff and armor pieces, I was like, oh, it's actually changed the way my guy looks, and the weapons do, and then even what you're saying just a second ago too, like when it comes to like leveling your character and attributes and stuff like that, there's like 3 different sections of things that can change your character. Yeah, and this game does feel like an RPG and not like it doesn't feel like Fable
role-playing game.
Yeah.
So it has really good RPG systems in that regard. And then stats that are easy to figure out. They were good about. Green is good, red is bad. Here's percentages next to the increases as well, so you can make educated decisions when you get different gear and stuff like that. Super appreciated when you play an RPG. I actually really hate it when I have to sit there and like try to number crunch myself because I'm just trying to play a video game. So I do appreciate that a lot. There's a lot of dialogue in the game, spoken, and with decent voice acting. Huge pluses. I really appreciate that. The game is good looking, minus, like you said, there's some weird like animation stuff, but like visually it is a good looking game, and they put a lot of detail into the world itself too, which is super appreciated. The town you start in is very detailed. Color scheme wise, it's a lot of the same, so I got lost really easy. That's a personal issue of mine though. I also appreciate like as someone who gets lost easy, I can open the map and the map is easy to read, has exclamation points everywhere on it that you can click on and automatically makes it your active quests. There's a lot of systematic stuff I really appreciate in this game.
I never got lost in that game, or like I'm not saying that in reference to what you said about you, but like more so the game's ability to tell you where to go and not be fucking like full of shit on like telling you where to go. It tells you exactly where to go. You go there. It's never confusing. The door's got a big ass fucking symbol on it. It's very straightforward. The hardest thing about getting around was my fucking wonky tank ass fucking running around corners and like adjusting my camera and shit. It's really sad. That's the hardest part about getting around to find your objective is trying to counteract that.
I do like in any Western RPG where you have the the pause or slow down feature where you can kind of like get your thoughts together mid combat and try to do something. In fact, even seeing that in some JRPGs, Final Fantasy VII Remake does something similar. So I very much appreciate those systems. You are playing a role-playing game, not an action game. So I do like that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's cool to just like wail on things, but at the same time, when you got stats and status effects and stuff like that, it is can be overwhelming in the heat of the moment, unless you just like completely have everything memorized. So it is nice to be able to go, so hold on, give me a second, I gotta figure out what I'm doing. So definitely appreciate that as well. And then, yeah, quest structure wise is pretty much what I expect. And same with like conversation when you're trying to figure out quests and stuff like that. It's broken down, lots of categories, lots of dialogue and stuff like that. Might be a hindrance for some people, but that's more of in a recommendation section. It is very impressive. The amount of dialogue in this game is insane. So like that is definitely a positive. Some cons now, it does have weird animation stuff. You turn like horses do in games. You take very wide corners. The camera accelerates very quickly. I had to go into the options, turn down my sensitivity because it just I was missing things constantly. It feels like it was definitely, for once, designed for keyboard and mouse first. So,
yeah, it feels like whatever it was designed for was not that.
Yeah. So I feel like my experience on PC, like controls wise, might have been better. I can't say that for sure. I didn't play it there. Combat is extremely boring, in my opinion. Extremely boring. I tried a couple different weapons. I hated all of them. The gun is like ridiculously overpowered, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. I've talked to a couple people who didn't think so. Luckily, like you're not. I mean, maybe later in the game it changes, but you don't got a lot of ammo. But it does feel overpowered.
So without spoiling anything, there's a boss you access before you leave the initial zone, and swinging at it with my weapon was like almost futile, and I just destroyed it with the gun. And had extra ammo to spare. So
even later in the game too, like any enemies I fought, like the gun was just took care of it.
Yeah. So I think if it was a walk around just like adventure game without the action aspect, I probably would have had a lot more fun with it. But every time I got into combat, I actually was just kind of like, okay, here we go. I got to do this. So, which is not a good feeling. I want to get in there and beat some people up, earn my EXP, and every time I
beat some people up.
Every time I got into combat, it was more of a like chore, and I don't want to feel that way when I'm fighting. I didn't use magic personally, but I did to kind of make sure I wasn't crazy. Go through. I watched some reviews and some gameplay stuff before having this conversation as well, and apparently magic is like really limited and overpowered as well. So things to work on. I don't think they're like 100% awful, but they're unfortunately it goes into the combat system, which is in my con section. The other con, which is going to be a personal problem, the setting is completely uninteresting to me. Completely. I hate the aesthetic. I hate the way people look. I don't like the time era. So my interest in being there is just not there. So I don't think I will revisit the game just because I can just go replay like Mass Effect 2 if I want to play something like this. So
fair.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Recommendations. Chris, I'm going to have you start again because you didn't get to fucking join in on the other topics.
If you like action RPG games, kind of like Skyrim or Fallout or, Mass Effect, those style of games, play this game. If you like Victorian era clothing and aesthetics, I think you should try this game. If you like games that are more on the lines of like normal everyday life with hints of magic thrown in there, kind of, like the mystery of like there might be magic, give this game a go.
Even a game like the MMO Secret World has like a modern feel, but has magic. It has that kind of feeling to it where it feels grounded, but it has some mystical elements to it, which I always really kind of like.
Yeah, it's a neat little take on RPGs because they tend to have more like magic focused games. So it's neat to have those games that are more grounded in reality with a little extra magic thrown in there. So if you're looking for something like that, give this a go. Um, if you like dialogue options in your games and having the chance of talking your way out of combat, give it a go because there's several times where you have charisma talents that you can do that in. I mean, if you like RPGs where you can customize your character to play however you want to play based on talent trees, give it a go.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. One thing I would throw out there too is if you're into finding those kind of like sleeper games that were made by like smaller developers that are actually worth your time, like Plague Story, Innocence, and stuff like that. I think I was also Focus that did that, the publishing on that. Definitely check it out because it is a game that I feel like you could easily overlook, and I think there is enough here that if you are interested enough in what this game offers and you can overlook its weaknesses, I think you will enjoy this game. And so yeah, I can't emphasize enough and recommend it enough to people who are like, well, I'm one of these people. I kind of want to play it, but I don't know if I really want to play it. It's definitely a game that you might want to check out. I think it's specifically if you played any of the other games these guys have made. I think it's their best one, so I would recommend to those people. And yeah.
I looking at the game and what they've made there and seeing some of the really good systems and stuff like that, I do look forward to seeing whatever they make next because I do think they have great ideas. But as far as recommendations go, I'm gonna just have to say if you like Western RPGs with a very heavy RPG focus, I would definitely give it a shot. It's just another game in that genre, and they're not really. We're not getting them that often, so I definitely think you should give it a shot because I do think there's plenty there to enjoy for most people.
I think the thing that distinguishes this game from games that are similar to it is it leans harder into RPG than action game, which I appreciated.
It reminds me of this, I guess, kind of a weird example, but closer to like Morrowind era RPGs, just more modern.
Not to the scale of freedom to play, but like the
heavy RPG aspect of it.
Being a third person looks like it could be an action game, but actually an RPG. Yeah, I could agree with that.
And I think there's definitely a place for it. Obviously, I have my personal gripes with it. If you could play a game like Mass Effect 1 or Morrowind and just like have a good time regardless of the combat just being meh in them, play this. It's kind of in that wheelhouse. Every time I want to replay a Mass Effect game, I always think of 2. There are people out there I've talked to, they think 1 is the Mass Effect they want to play, even though I think shooting in that game is awful. So yeah, I do think that is kind of like the main focus. But if you like narrative heavy games, this game has a ton of narrative, and everyone has something
way more than I thought.
Yeah, and the voice acting is done really well. So like I was actually never bored when people were talking to each other, which is huge when you have that much to say. Mm-hmm. So very good in that regard. I think these guys, at least from what I know of their old games and what I've seen in this, they're on a good projection. They're gonna keep making better and better games. I'm looking forward to their future. But yeah, right now, I think you really have to like what they make to play it. So
yeah, kind of niche. Mm-hmm. Although I think it's getting out of that niche territory. I think like I said with my recommendation, I think more people should start keeping an eye on them.
I agree.
And hopefully support what they're doing so that they have the chance to do that. Because like I said, the biggest thing when I first played the game was I noticed that they were ambitious with what they had going on. And they really tried. So, and I can really appreciate that. So
I agree.
Yeah. Anything else? Any more recommendations? All right, let's jump into grades. I'm dying to know Chevy's grade.
I'm gonna give it a C+. It's okay. There's things about it I really like, but between the setting being just something I don't care about and not enjoying combat, that's huge for me. If I don't want to kill things in the game, I don't want to play it. So.
Just run away from him and go, I don't want to kill you. It's boring.
I mean, I was thoroughly impressed systematically with the game. Like, I love that everything I put on looked different. I love that there are things you literally cannot access if you don't have the skill. Like, those kind of systems, they're great. I love that. So I gotta be able to enjoy the combat too. So C+.
For sure. Chris.
I'm gonna give it a B minus. Kind of along the same lines as Chevy. The combat feels a little hollow here and there, and there's a lot of, like you said, soft jank in this game. But there is something about this game, just the fact that it's unique in like the RPG aspect, action RPG aspect of games that you don't get a lot of, and I enjoyed playing it. As well as, like you said, voice acting is solid in this game. There's a lot of talking, but again, like Chevy, I wasn't bored listening to them talk. So I'm just gonna give it a B minus.
It's a lot of talking. You guys are talking a whole lot. It's good talking, but there's a lot of talking going on right now. I'm also gonna give it a B minus. I thought about giving it a B, but I'm not in love with it. But I do like it, and but I haven't played it as much as I'd like to either, and I will play it more because I want to see if I can get into it. I think the jank does kind of get in the way of me being like fully into it, but my appreciation of them, being ambitious with what they got going on, kind of outweighs that as well. So it's definitely not a C for me. And gameplay wise, combat's not the best for sure, but I also didn't mind it. I just thought that the overuse of the kicking thing, maybe that goes away.
I don't know why it
was kind of ridiculous.
It's way too useful.
Yeah. Well, the NPCs were all fucking just kicking and shit. Everybody's just kicking. I was like, oh my god.
There's a status effect there, and I had a skill that also reduced armor when I kicked. So why the hell wouldn't I just start kicking the shit out of
Yeah,
people?
there's like a lot of stomping going on. It needs to be fucking stomp fall. But so the combat's got some issues, but I wasn't necessarily bored with the combat. But the story and the experience and the voice acting and the subject matter I thought was interesting and different than a lot of the stuff that's being offered within the same genre. So it's very familiar, but also just kind of off that made it interesting for me. So I think B minus is a very fair grade to give it.
Yeah.
Anything else? All right, let us know in the comments, what did you guys think of Greedfall? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What was your favorite part of it, if there was one? What's a big weakness of the game? Maybe you weren't a big fan of the combat. Maybe you did like the combat. What kind of characters did you guys make? I made like a shooty stealth guy.
I used a sword.
Oh.
Yeah.
Chris?
I had a wizard with a mace.
Yeah, you saw that. I
We all made
remember.
different characters. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments what kind of character you made. And let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Greedfall in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Plus Club. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check out Game of the Month coming out this day, today. If you watch this and you didn't watch the other video, it's out. Check it out. So yeah, we're going to talk about Deep Rock Galactic and that. And we have Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. We're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms. If you prefer to listen to us, I'm fucking drying out. I can't talk. We have Patreon if you'd like to support the channel for liking, commenting, and sharing this video. Subscribing if you're new. And I think that's everything. My name is Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And I'm Chris.
Until Game of the Month, go check out that episode. Have a good one, guys, and take it easy.